Ben, go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Ben.
Hi there. Happy holidays to you.
Same to you.
Thank you. Just overall, how would you kind of assess the class? Obviously, you added a quarterback in the last 24 hours. Can you talk about Henry and
Yeah.
class overall?
Yeah. I mean, I think recruiting has drastically changed in the last couple of years. You know, it's a combination of you're taking high school kids, but you're also taking portal kids, you know, so, and you can't announce portal kids until they actually step on campus. So, you know, we'll supplement this group that we have right now, but we feel really good about the 10 guys we have. You know, Cameron Jones is a local kid running back from St. John Bosco that, you know, Deshaun has been um, high on for a really long time, and myself included. He's a big, strong, physical running back, you know, in kind of the mold that we like here. Big, tough, downhill football player. Feel really good about him. Took 3 really good offensive linemen. I know Drev had a chance to have all those kids. They were either in camp or we got a chance to see them personally, you know, work out, and we feel really good about them. Got a linebacker in Isaiah Patterson who had an outstanding year up in the state of Washington. Tough, hard-nosed, physical player that can really run a defense. He's smart. He's intelligent. And then the 2 DBs, Jameer and Christian. You know, we've known of Christian for a long time. He's been in our camp. We know all about him. And then Jameer was a kid that was committed originally to Northwestern, and then got in contact with him this summer when there was a coaching change there. And, you know, really fits as a really good student, is a really good football player. So I think part of us moving into the Big Ten and moving into the Midwest is attractive for some kids. So we were excited to get Jameer to be a part of it. And then we added 2 quarterbacks, obviously Carson Gordon, who everybody knew about. Carson's the state of Texas triple jump champion. I think he's gone over 52 plus feet in the triple jump, which I think is the state record. So he's a tremendous athlete, but a really sharp kid at a high school where they really do a lot of really neat things and do a lot that's put on the quarterback's plate. And then we added Henry Hasselbeck, who was the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Massachusetts, led his high school to state championship there. Another really, really good athlete, was originally committed to Maryland for lacrosse. He's a multi-sport athlete. He's a lacrosse track football player. Comes from a great family of football players. His dad, Matt, played in the NFL for a long, long time. His uncle, Timmy, played in the NFL for a long time. His grandfather played in the NFL for a long time. So there's great history and tradition in that family. So, and Henry's a great kid that I think will fit in here perfectly. So we're excited about that group of high school kids coming in. And I can't comment on any of the transfer kids until they actually enroll, because you can't talk about kids until they're on campus. So we will supplement this group with the transfer portal.
All right, David Woods, go ahead.
Hey Chip, on the 2 quarterbacks, taking 2 prep quarterbacks this cycle, obviously Dante leaving, but was this a function of anticipated attrition, or did you just want to add numbers there?
I just believe, and we've always believed, I don't think you can have enough quarterbacks. I mean, we had to play 3 this season, actually 4 this season. You know, that's kind of rare, but it's a special position. If we feel like we see a kid that's a quality football player and a quality person, and fits what we're looking for at the quarterback position, then we're gonna recruit them. And we feel that both Henry and Cars have those qualities. So that's what we feel like. But it's probably the one position, and I think you're right, David. If you look at the amount of transfers, is how many kids transfer at that position, because only one kid plays. So you never want to be caught shorthanded and be scrambling looking for a kid in June when you passed on a good kid up in December. So that is part of it, yes.
Joe Reedy.
Hey Chip, just wondering, just with the past couple years now moving into the Big Ten, how much does the recruiting approach change into building a team, or is it more still what you guys want to do and accomplish that rather than the conference you're moving to?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're always trying to just improve your team, and that's what the goal is all the time. And are you bringing in players that can complement what you already have in your program, and are you building? And then I think this group of guys helps us do that. But I also don't think the Big Ten is what people thought the Big Ten used to be. It's in the old days, it was I formation, downhill football. There aren't many teams that do that now. I think with maybe the exception of maybe Michigan and Iowa. There's a lot of spread teams in the Big Ten, and they're still physical when they play spread, but I don't think it's the same thing that people thought maybe 10 or 15 years ago. Where the West Coast, and we all try to generalize everything. The West Coast, they throw the ball every down, and in the Big Ten, they run the ball every down. Well, that's certainly not the case. I think Ohio State's a very balanced football team and can do both. Penn State's a balanced football team and do both. I watched Penn State, play last year in the Rose Bowl against Utah. I was really impressed with what Penn State does on the offensive side of the ball. So I think you have to not get caught up in that where, hey, we got to get real big and do this because that's what the Big Ten is. Even Wisconsin is now an air raid team. They used to when, from all the times after Coach Alvarez and the coaches that they had there, Paul Christ and those group of guys, Brett Bielema, they were downhill, tough, hard-nosed physical football team. They're still a tough, hard-nosed physical football team. Don't get me wrong, but I think they're doing it in a different way. They brought in the coordinator from North Carolina who's more of an air raid guy, and Phil does a great job with that offense. So I think it's maybe a little bit different than what you see in a normal Wisconsin team, but they're still big and physical. They're just kind of doing it in a different manner. So, we'll still recruit to what our strengths are here, and what our coaching staff and our philosophy is, both offensively and defensively and special teams wise, and then go play in a really, really good league that's, really talented from team 1 to team 18.
James, go ahead.
Sorry about that. Hey, Chip. Just going back to the offensive linemen. How important was it to address the front line there, and do you see any of those guys being versatile across the line?
Yeah, we do. And we had a chance to work all three of them out. That's the beauty of the three guys. Marquise came down. We saw him, and then Jensen was over from Utah from one of our camps one of those days, and obviously Mark's local, and been down to Mission Viejo a ton. So all three of them are tall and long, which is what we need. Obviously, that frame that you can add to, and I know Coach Belton, our strength and conditioning coach, is really excited about all three of those guys in terms of the frames that they're going to bring into the weight room. And then you get them involved in our nutrition program and put the good weight on them, in what we're trying to get accomplished. But I think they're athletic for their size. I think they all have tackle type bodies, and there's certainly a position of need for us. So we'll see how it plays out, because I've had tackles move into guard and vice versa. But usually, you're trying to recruit tackle bodies and then work out who are your top 5 out of those guys. And that's what I feel. We feel all three of these guys are tackles, but we'll see how that plays out for us.
All right, Tracy, go for it.
Chip, I was wondering, as far as the 10 that have been announced, how many are expecting to enroll early?
4 of them will. I believe right now, Quasi, Isaiah, Jameer, and Christian are scheduled to enroll for January and are on track for that. Obviously that could change, but I think that's what we're planning on. Some of the other guys like Carson and Henry have, they got sports obligations, throughout the winter and the spring for them to go through. So, but those 4 right now are the 4 that we think will be coming in early, with a bunch of transfer kids also.
Back to Ben.
2 things for you. Last year's class, I think the only true freshman who really made a significant contribution was Dante. Do you see any of these guys be able to contribute 2024? And then second part is, if you look at the 247 sports ranking for the Big Ten, you're 17th out of 18 teams. You alluded to transfers coming in. The way you build your roster now, do you almost throw out the high school rankings and disregard that, or do you think that still has some merit?
No, I think on the first part, I think the kids who enroll early obviously have a better chance of playing in the fall, just because they get an opportunity to go through winter program with our football performance people. They also get a chance to go through the spring with coaches, meetings, and all those other things. So, by the time the other freshmen get here in June, it seems like they've been here on campus for a while. So I think that's an advantage. So we don't put any limitations on any of them. Sean Ryan came in directly out of high school and played as a true freshman because he was talented enough to do that. Didn't have the benefit of an early enrollee. Dorian was not an early enrollee. He played early in his career, so it's easier for those guys, but I don't know. We don't put a limit on those guys. And then I just think recruiting has changed, and it's a combination, and it's been a combination since the portal has kind of changed. When before it was just grad students, but you know our team as well as anybody, Ben. But Latu was a transfer, Darius was a transfer, Ethan is a transfer, J. Mike is a transfer. The Murphys are transfers. Gary Smith is a transfer. I think it's a combination of both. So that's how we've always looked at it, is that we're always trying to bring in the best that fit in both our academic admission standards and what we're looking for football wise here. But we're not going to limit it to say it's going to be a certain amount of high school or it's going to be a certain amount of transfer guys. It's just that part of it happens organically. And so that's how we look at it. But we don't delineate or look at the high school ranking or the transfer ranking. It's who's the best fit for what we have to offer here.
One follow-up, if I could, between the high school players you brought in last year and the portal, I think it's fair to say that the offensive line needs were not met. What do you think went wrong there, and how do you avoid that going forward?
Explain that question again to me again. I missed it.
You had some struggles along the offensive line this season, right? So you were not able to get the players you needed to have a successful season on the offensive line between the players you brought in the portal. Mm-hmm. And I know freshmen don't usually play on offensive line.
Yeah, usually freshmen don't play. That's usually in that mode. They're somewhat of a developmental guys, and I think sometimes in the portal, again, just like it is for the high school kids, to be able to get portal kids to enroll early. So are they January admits or April admits in terms of us, because we're on a quarter system. I know we did bring in Kadir from Old Dominion, but he wasn't available to be here in the springtime. And I think that I feel for Kadir because I think he's a really talented player, but I don't know if we got enough time with him. And that was unfortunate. And that's just kind of sometimes how the portal works. You can't have a plan and say, we're going to take 5 kids at this point from here, but if there aren't 5 kids available to take, or if in this day and age, especially with offensive linemen, if you get outbid, so to speak, for some kids like that, it's just not as easy as you're not drafting. You're still recruiting, and you're still trying to the player acquisition part is you got to be able to get them to commit and enroll at your school.
All right, looks like a couple more here. We'll go back to David.
Hey, Chip, with defensive line, I know there's still some stuff to shake out with potential announcements to the NFL or what have you, but no defensive linemen currently in the class. What kind of numbers are you targeting with what you're going to try to attack in the portal? And, because I know edge rush could potentially be some guys returning, could not be. So what's kind of the plan of action for defensive line recruiting?
Yeah, and I think you're spot on with that, Dave. Is attack that in the portal, in terms of what's available and who they are, and we're doing that as we currently speak. So that's where that's where those numbers will come from.
Joe, go ahead.
Chip, just wondering, do you have a long-time relationship with that Hasselbeck family and just the process of recruiting them?
I know them. Yeah, I've known Matt and Timmy, the 2 brothers, and then the 3rd brother, Nathaniel. I've known them for a while, but this kind of happened organically as we were looking at the high school ranks and quarterbacks. And Henry was originally committed to Michigan State. And then they obviously had a coaching change. And then I think he opened up his recruiting. So, it wasn't anything where, and Matt really, as a dad, actually stayed out of recruiting. He wanted it specifically. I want my son to be recruited because my son is good enough to be recruited, not because I know somebody. So, I talked to Henry first before I ever talked to Matt, to kind of find out what Henry's thought process was and what he wanted to do after the Michigan State, after being committed to Michigan State. Did he want to open up his recruiting? So that's kind of how it came about. But I have known the family for a while. I think they're a great family, and obviously have had a tremendous amount of success in football. Both Matt and Timmy and their dad, Don Hasselbeck. Don played for a long time himself. So, it's in the family, and that's always a good thing.
Tracy?
Chip, just because I don't know the next time we're going to speak to you, I was wondering, has there been any progress or decisions made with the 3 coaching vacancies you have on the staff?
No, not at all. Our goal was to get through the bowl game, and our staff, I thought, did a tremendous job with all the guys that stepped up, and really, really happy with all those guys. And then really to get to Wednesday, and to get through this signing period. We'll still continue to recruit right through the holidays and in January on the transfer stuff, because it seems like the portal never closes. So you're always dealing with kids from that standpoint. But we obviously I got a group of names that we're going to get ready here to sit down and visit with and talk with about it. But we haven't done anything. And to quote a famous coach, Coach Wooden, we're going to be quick but not hurry. So we're going to make sure we were really thorough last year and got a chance to find Danton, and I thought Danton did a tremendous job. We spent our time before and hiring Jeff Ferris after Seiji left to go to Nevada, and obviously I think Ferris did a tremendous job here, both in at tight end and his contributions on special teams, and that's led to him getting the head coaching job at Austin Peay. We took our time when Coach Bible retired to, in terms of hiring Coach Gunderson, and I think Gundy did a really nice job, and that's why he's off to a promotion at Oregon State. So we're not playing, obviously, as everybody knows, we're not going to play for a little bit here, and we don't do spring ball until the spring quarter. So we do have the benefit of time on our side, and we want to make sure that we're really thorough and everybody that we have a chance to talk with and visit with.
Yeah, we'll finish up here with Dave.
One more for me. I imagine in addition to defensive line and edge rush, what are some of the positions you're going to be targeting specifically over the next month of the portal, given, Spencer leaving this week and just long snapper even? What are you going to be looking at?
Yeah, I mean, just you're looking. You have some younger kids in the program that obviously you feel good about in terms of their growth and where they are. So there are some guys in our program that we feel good about moving forward, and we'll see what the winter looks like and going into spring ball. But really, the biggest need for us is safety. When you lose Jordan Anderson and Kenny Churchwell and Alex Johnson, who's a safety / nickel for us. Three seniors right there who played their last game, and all 3 of them played really well their last game at SoFi. But safety will be a priority for us.
All right, we'll wrap it up there. Coach, thanks for your time. Thanks everyone for joining us.
All right, guys. Happy holidays. Thank you.